Hello and welcome to Business. The IMF boss Christine Lagarde begins a working visit to Ghana today. We'll have more on that in a bit. We begin though with the race to meet the capital requirement. Banks have only 8 working days to meet the December 31 deadline. And as we're getting closer and closer, we're hearing that the proposed merger between First Atlantic Bank and Energy Commercial Bank seems to be going through. It received a no objection from the Bank of Ghana last Friday. We're also hearing that Indigenous Bank Prudential has met the minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis. The announcement was made at the bank's Thanksgiving service over the weekend. Meanwhile, Cal Bank has given the firm assurance it would meet the deadline. The bank is giving this promise as it seeks shareholders' approval later today to transfer 50 million cedis to its already 350 million cedis stated capital. Managing Director Frank Edu has been speaking to the press.
Being a publicly listed company, directors can't just sit in the boardroom and do the transfer. We actually have to go to an AGM. And if we're a privately held stock, we would have just called the shareholders into a meeting, put a notice in the papers, put them in a meeting, and then we'll vote. But being a publicly listed company, we have to give notice, go to an AGM and pass that resolution. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time, the 21-day notice, so we had to go to court to seek a waiver and to call the AGM. So the AGM is coming on, and as I speak, it's also a special resolution, which means that you require 75% of the votes of registered members. But as I speak, we already have more than 75% proxies in. It is in the account. When will the transfer be done? That's the question you're asking. It will be done after the resolution has been passed. And then we'll tell Bank of Ghana that the resolution has been passed. They will take our audited accounts and then they will allow us to do the transfer. It will be done before 31st December.
IMF boss Christine Lagarde has begun a 2-day working visit to Ghana. She is participating in the Future of Work conference at this moment in Accra. It's one of the major engagements she'll be having whilst in the country. Well, Minister of Planning George Anbafo, who addressed the conference, highlighted government's job creation policy.
Government is also pushing for and supporting an increased focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in schools, particularly in our universities, which will be encouraged to form research and development partnership arrangement with industry. And by 2028, we expect to leverage the abundant human talent to become a leader, at least in Africa, in ICT and software applications development, and to create a technology subsector that generates productive employment with high incomes from our educated youth and opportunities for technological leapfrogging in many areas of the economy. We certainly want to embrace these trends, basically to adopt and adapt new technologies. We are therefore confident that a deliberate focus on technical and vocational training in the context of the free SHS and our focus on agriculture in the context of planting for food and jobs and digitization will yield the needed dividend in the future.
Well, the IMF boss Christine Lagarde has also been speaking at the conference.
Ghana has done particularly well. In fact, it is one of only 9 sub-Saharan African countries that met the Millennium Development Goal of halving extreme poverty. At the same time, most of the new jobs throughout the regions are in agriculture and traditional services, and far too few have been in better paying manufacturing jobs and modern services. So looking at what happened in those years, how can we ensure that the coming decades will generate strong economic growth? We can start by looking at the major forces shaping the region's destiny. The first one is demographics. Sub-Saharan Africa population is expected to increase from approximately 1 billion today to 1.7 billion in only 20 years' time, 2040. The labor force will increase at double the rate of the last decade. And as a result, if you compare with the 9 million jobs that were created on an annual basis over the last 2 decades, it is now 20 million jobs that need to be created in order to keep up with the growing of the labor force. Now, if successful, the region could enjoy a prolonged period of high growth, and that's what everybody calls the demographic dividend.
Well, we'll bring you more on Christine Lagarde's two-day visit to the country. Subsequently, is a visit some economists are describing as crucial and timely. We explain in the following report.
The IMF boss, Christine Lagarde, is coming to Ghana at a time that managers are working to technically end the program by December 2018. However, one is not sure whether government will be able to meet all the critical benchmarks like the end-of-year budget deficit as well as some structural targets. Some economists have argued that the program cannot be fully completed unless the IMF board meets in April 2019 to review Ghana's performance before the program can be said to have been completed. Another issue set to be a threat to the program's completion has been the current challenges with revenue mobilization, dealing with the banking sector issues, including the savings and loans, as well as the microfinance sector.
All right, that's it for business. Up next is sports. We've got details of UEFA Champions League draw. Up next in sports. Stay with us.